13-year-old Sophie Nye won't be a freshman at Niskayuna until next fall. But if all goes right this winter, she'll be a national champion before she's a high schooler. The 8th grader at Iroquois Middle School recently finished top 4 at a regional figure skating competition in Lake Placid. In January, she could skate for a national championship if she's able to advance through regionals first. Sophie heads to Connecticut for sectionals tomorrow, but tonight she joins us in studio. Thanks so much for being here. And first of all, tell us why you go to Connecticut. What's going to happen when you get there?
Well, I qualified for sectionals when I went to regionals, and I placed in the top 4. And if you place in the top 4 at sectionals, then you can go to nationals.
So let's give our audience an idea of just how big of a deal this is. So how many other girls are you going to be competing against at sectionals?
Well, there's 11 other girls.
So 12 of you total from where? Where do those 12 come from?
Like states from like Florida to Maine, like all along the East Coast.
So the entire eastern part of the country, essentially, just 12 of you have made it this far.
Yeah.
Such a great accomplishment. What does it mean to you? I know the goal is to advance to nationals, and we'll talk about that in a second. But first, to know that you've already made it this far, what does that mean to you?
It means like I'm proud of how hard I've worked, and yeah, I want to keep on doing better.
So you're not just satisfied yet. How long has the goal been to make it to nationals? When did you first decide that's something that you want to go after?
Like when I first heard about nationals, basically.
And when was that?
Probably for like when I was like little and watched TV about nationals.
So this has been your dream for a very long time. How much work do you put into it?
A lot of work. I practice like 9 to 10 hours a week in like the winter and fall and spring when there's school.
It's a lot of practice. Do you ever get tired of it? Why not? What is the draw of figure skating to you?
Because you get to perform and tell a story through the music.
That's interesting. Explain that. How are you telling a story when you're on the ice?
Well, like one of my music is Phantom of the Opera. So like you tell the story through your facial expressions of the Phantom of the Opera.
And are you scored on that based on how well you can tell that story?
Yeah, part of the score is the technical score, which is like jumps and spins. Then part of the score is the component score, which is like facial expressions and choreography.
Wow.
And stuff like that.
So you're in the 8th grade now, Iroquois Middle School. You'll go to Niskayuna High School next year? Take me back to the very beginning, though. How old were you when you first started figure skating?
Like 4, I think.
4? I mean, that's impressive. You could even stand on skates at 4, let alone actually, you know, twirl and dance and everything else that you've got to do. Can you remember back that far? Can you remember being 4 years old and first starting out?
Well, sort of. I just remember that I did like group lessons with Learn to Skate. And yeah.
And you just always wanted to go back? And it's a family sport too, right? Who else does it in your family?
My sister and my mom used to skate too.
Do you guys, 3 of you, get out and skate together, ever?
Not really.
Your mom doesn't skate anymore?
Not really.
She leaves it to the 2 experts. And how old's your sister?
10.
Do the 2 of you talk about it a lot? Do you bond over figure skating?
Yeah, I guess.
Any sister rivalry there?
Not really.
Yeah, just try and help each other out, and you being the bigger sister, I'm sure some of that falls to you. What do you hope to accomplish in the sport? Obviously, the short-term goal is to make it to nationals by qualifying this week, and then the nationals would be in Minnesota in January. But then beyond that, have you thought about what you'd like to do with this sport?
Well, my long-term goal is to make it to the Olympics.
Wow.
So, yeah.
What's that going to require?
A lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And determination.
Your coach is Liz.
Yeah, Liz Comerford.
And how has she helped you? What's maybe some of the best advice that she's given you?
Be fierce.
Be fierce. It looks pretty fierce right here. Tell us what you're doing.
Well, that's my combination spin, and yeah.
Again, fierce. Fierce and flexible, I guess. Let's talk about some of the disciplines, because when you go to sectionals, you're going to have a long program and a short program. And what are some of the elements that go into those?
Well, in my short program, I have like a double axel, a double flip, and like a loop combo. Okay. And like spins and footwork and stuff.
Was it scary the first time you ever did a jump?
Like tried it?
Yeah.
It probably depends on the jump.
Yeah? What's the scariest one? What's the toughest one you do?
Well, the hardest one is triple sound, but I think the double axel was harder because you have to rotate it half more than a double. So
that's interesting, because a lot of people would hear triple and think, well, that's got to be harder than a double. But obviously it depends on the jump. And for those that aren't super familiar with figure skating, if you could break down the difference for us. So let's start with the triple sound. You can even hop off the chair and walk us through it. But explain to me the approach and what you do for a triple sound.
Well, for a triple sound, you are like taking off from a back inside edge, and you just sort of pull through and transfer your weight to the other foot to land. And a double axel, you are like going forward into it, and you jump up and rotate and land.
Okay.
So,
and so that's the sow and the axle, and then what else is there? There's a toe?
Yeah, toe loop, a flip, which isn't like a flip.
Right, not like a somersault.
Yeah, and a lutz and an axle.
Okay, wow, that's a lot. What's a lutz?
A lutz, like you take off from like a back outside edge, and you tap, and then you like rotate.
Wow. All right, come on back up here. So is it hard to kind of keep track of all of them during a program, or is it just muscle memory? You do it again and again, and it kind of just becomes natural?
I can remember them because, well, yeah, I've just done them so many times in my program.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Have you ever hurt yourself falling?
Not like injury, but like a bruise.
A bruise? Yeah. Have you ever fallen, hurt yourself, bruised yourself, maybe in a competition and been like, this isn't for me anymore, or do you always just bounce right back up?
I always get back up.
Why is that? A lot of people would quit after, getting frustrated and hurting themselves. What do you think it is about you that you always want to just bounce right back up?
Well, just like thinking about your goals and like what you want to get out of the sport.
Yep. And so Olympics, that's it for you, huh?
Yeah, that's my long-term goal.
You watch a lot of figure skating on TV?
Yeah.
And do you have a favorite figure skater, somebody you try and model your performances after?
Well, Gracie Gold.
Uh-huh.
She's like probably my favorite.
Awesome. All right. And then finally, let's talk about Connecticut and specifically going into it. You've got the long program, the short program, and you said Phantom is music for one of them?
Yeah, for my short program.
Okay. And what about the long program?
It's Piano Fantasy.
Okay. And is there one that you feel stronger about than the other?
Oh, I like them both the same.
Awesome. So there are going to be 12 girls there competing on Wednesday and Thursday, and the top 4 advance to nationals in Minnesota in January. Sophie, best of luck. We hope to have you back here sometime in the future telling us about your championships and getting ready for the Olympics. How's that sound?
Yeah.
All right. Now from Sophie's dancing on the ice to Antonio Brown's flip into the end zone, but we'll tell you why his dancing kind of runs in the family. That's coming up next on The Edge.